Here's a... Hello? Is this coming through? This should be coming through. Let's just get it all sorted. This is, you shouldn't hear this unless you rewind or you're watching in the future. So, hello to you. You can't see me right now, but I assure you I do exist and I am here. So, let me just get this sorted. And I'll be with you live in person. If you wish to skip forward, I highly recommend doing that. Because we're going to be here alone for a long time. Well, until I finish the title. That was me sniffing. You can hear me typing my keyboard. Very nice. They call me Goldfinger. And I forgot you could hear me. We're going to be talking about movies. Fuck. I forgot the mic was on. What else have I said? We're going to be talking about movies and I've got the theme for Goldfinger stuck in my head. Trying to... There we go. I know I've gone extremely quiet, but I'm just quickly making a thumbnail. Or nicking a thumbnail. I do make my own thumbnails, but for live streams, I just swipe them. I don't nick them, I just borrow them. Let's just say that. Because I can't be bothered to make a thumbnail for live stream. We'll see how well that holds up. Okay, we're not far off actually. I'm going live. Call him Goldfinger. He's a man who loves do. Well, what am I doing? I'm just staring. I'm trying to find tags. That was it. Do 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 do. He's a man who loves to be do Goldfinger. He's a man. I should do a singing channel. I don't know why I bother with this rubbish. I should just do a singing channel. I think that'd be a lot better. There we go. And we are going live soon. Let's check the camera. You're going to see me for a second. So, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What does it sound like George McFly then? That's a little hint to what will be included. I sound like George McFly when he does that laugh. When he says you got to change that oil. Oh, I love Back to the Future. I'm just going to spoil the whole thing before I even get there. So, oh, how did it look? I think it sounded alright. We are going live in 1, 2. Let's quickly check again. Wow. There we go. 1, 2, and we. Hang on, is that fucking on? Yep, that's on. Sorry. Now we are live! Hello, and if you're hearing me, because you shouldn't be able to see me, freaking perverts. I'm live now. I was dead before, but now I'm alive. And that is the most unfunny joke of the century. I do hope you can't see me. Right now, I'm just, I don't know, picking my nose. I don't know. Don't really know where I was going with that one. There's my own live stream. I want to see how my mic's. That is the most unfunny joke of the century. I do hope you can't see me. Right now. Okay. There's the answer. You're going to see me right now. That's. Don't really know where I was going with that. Wow. Wow. All I got to say with seeing me is wow. There's my own live stream. I want to see how my mic's. That is the most unfunny joke of the century. Okay, we are live. How does that sound? I just want to. There's the answer. You're going to see me right now. That's. Wow. Wow. All I got to say with seeing me is wow. Okay, it's not too bad. Can't see the comments. Why does it just show me the comments? That's really annoying. Oh, for frick's sake. What I'm going to have to do, because you can still see me, is... oh, let's hope my... oh, shit, my new just... I don't know. I'm going to download the YouTube app on my iPad. Because what I do is I feel really productive and I delete it and then I reinstall it, which is bad. Okay? You want a tip of free advice, you want a nickel's worth free advice. I don't know if it's a dime or nickel. Don't use YouTube too much. Which is funny because I'm a YouTuber saying that, but it's true. I know people who spend all day on YouTube. I know them very well because that was myself. And it's just not worth it. There, I'm logged in. Oh, current live streams. You must got a massive thumbnail. It's true. Wow. Now I'm just gonna multitasking. I'm going to turn me down a bit. I'm going to welcome you all. There we go. Now you can hear me. Sniffle. So, what are we talking about? We are talking about the greatest films, I'm going to spoil that one, of all time. I want to hear how that sounds. Do apologise. There we go. Now you can hear me. Sniffle. So, what are we talking about? We are talking about the greatest films, I'm going to spoil that one, of all time. Okay, how's that? I've turned down the gain in case it's too loud. Hear how that sounds. Do apologise. I don't want to be too loud, okay? Of course I'm testing the mic still. Sorry, I've got a runny nose. Okay, how's that? I've turned down the gain in case it's too loud. Oh, that's better. Okay, I wish I was talking. I don't want to be too loud, okay? Of course I'm testing the mic still. That sounds good to me. Of course, if you want the mic to be quieted down, okay, don't be a smart ass and say to 0. Because then why would you even watch the live stream if you didn't enjoy it? But who does enjoy it? But if it needs to be quieted down, just do say so. And drink some water. Everyone's dehydrated, okay? I see a lot of people that have headaches. The fuck, is your brain bleeding or something? No, drink some water. That's where you got a headache. You know, I'm a scientist, so I would know. Anyway, we're going to talk about the greatest films of all time. Move my glasses over because I can grab them from here. So what do I put in number 1 as the greatest film? Oh, let's put a nice background. Okay. Wow, I just had one. And let's go through. What is my favourite film of all time? Franchise as well includes, I'll put it all into one franchise movie, all the same thing, because you could choose multiple. But I'll do franchise and movies, put them together. So first, in number 1 of the best film ever made, in my opinion, has to be, excuse me, Back to the Future. Now, Back to the Future is the best film ever made. I don't think anyone's really going to argue with me there. Because you can't beat Back to the Future. It's just a beautiful... Cat's got my tongue. Beautiful film. It's the perfect film. And what makes Back to the Future even better is the fact it's not just an amazing... I hate Web and D files. Sorry. Bit of a... On the contrary, I can't get my words together today. No, I don't want that. I just want a background. Is that too much to ask? Anyway, well, like I was saying, Back to the Future isn't just a phenomenal film, but it's also a phenomenal franchise. So it's not like a one-off of 1 was good, but then 2 sucked and 3 sucked. No. They're all phenomenal. Some would argue not as good, and that looks like shit. Of course it does, because why would it look good? You know, that'd be way too convenient for me. But I don't want to use that. It's not the original. Pardon me. Yeah, it's an amazing franchise. I will go over each film. Seems I'm doing the franchise. Would that look good zoomed in? Let's just put 4K. Because I get like these two pixel images. I don't know if that's a real thing. And it looks like shit, really. I don't want to put that. I like that. Yeah, I like that quite a lot. We'll use that. Oh, finally. An actual good thumbnail. Not a thumbnail, but like a backdrop. How does that look? I'm going to wait for it to come up on my screen, because I want a nice backdrop while I talk about the film. I don't want to put copyrighted images in the back, videos in the back, because I could get done for that. I'll get arrested. Okay, it does look good. Let's go full screen. There we go, full screen. That looks great. I'm getting a phone call. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'll be back in a second. Hello? Good, thank you. And I'm back after my short disappearance. After I disappeared, what was I talking about? I hate when freaking people call and I'm busy doing something. It's very annoying. Can I see me? Can you see me with the camera? Yes? No? Oh, there's me. Sitting down. Yep. Don't forget to look up. Okay, you can see me. I might as well grab the film down. The greatest film of all time has to be Back to the Future. Now, which one am I talking about? Well, for starters, the best film of all time has to be the original Back to the Future. Now, the original Back to the Future is phenomenal. It's not just good, no. That wasn't me, that was the box. I didn't just crap myself on camera. The original one is phenomenal. I can't even tell you how good it is. It's just it's timeless. That's the thing. I've watched this nigh on about 40 times, the first one, and that's not over exaggerating. That's how good it is. Now the first one is just a staple 80s film. It's just perfect. Everything is perfect. It's got so many phrases, not cheesy phrases. Phrases I quote daily. Like I said one before the live stream started, I made a weird laugh, as I usually do, and I sounded like George McFly, who is told to change his oil by his son. You know, does that weird laugh. And that's what I sounded like. But it's just a phenomenal film from start to finish. So as you know, it starts out as Marty's a high school student who gets in trouble quite a lot with Strickland. And he's got his love interest. I'm just staring off into the distance. Anyway, he goes to everyone's watched this film. He goes to the mall, the DeLorean comes out, he goes in the DeLorean, he goes back in time after Doc is killed, and he meets Doc, past Doc, because future Doc's dead, who, are you freaking joking me? Hello? It's literally just a battery, I swear it is. Hey, hey, hey. Hopefully, I can focus now. Jeez Louise. I'm back. Again. Anyway, like I was saying, it goes back to the year 19... Fuck. People are going to hate me for that. 1954, 1955. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, it goes back into the past. Doc helps him go back to the future. This is just a quick sum up. It's a lot better than that. And he comes back, and his life has changed. His parents are much richer and better off, because at the start they'll drink, and it's not too good. This is like the worst review I've ever seen. This is so shit. But I'm explaining a film that doesn't need any explanation. It's just a phenomenal film. And yeah, that was a shit review. My mic's paused, but I know it doesn't freaking actually work. Now Back to the Future Part 2, which is another great film. It's up there again. Now my favourite bit about Back to the Future Part 2 has to be the Biff Tannen bit, where Marty... What happens? Yeah, Marty goes back to 2015. Anyway, he buys the almanac, which he shouldn't have bought, as Doc Brown says. And old Biff, which is still Biff, but he's old now in the film, nicks the DeLorean and gives the almanac to his past self, who then uses it and becomes extremely rich. Then Marty returns back to 1985, 4. I think it's 1984. I'm going to sound retarded. Oh shit, I've been cancelled now. I'm going to sound... Yeah, I don't give two shits. I'm going to sound retarded if I say that. Come after me, you damn hippies. Well, great insult, Bradley. But no, he comes back, and the world... He goes back to his home at Hill Valley. He goes in, he climbs it. He climbs into like this girl's bedroom. It's like some... Well, it's definitely not his sibling or his room. Let's just say that. And the dad comes out with a shotgun. Anyway, he scurries out, and then he finds Biff's casino. Biff has literally took over. And also, here's a fun fact: Biff in Back to the Future Part 2 is actually based on Donald Trump in the 80s. So, you can see it there. In the middle one, that's Biff's tower there. Discover the history of Biff Tannen and Mad Dog Tannen, which is a hint to Back to the Future Part 3. Anyway, yeah, it's based on Donald Trump, which I guess a lot of people would find funny or agree with nowadays, but of course I don't. I do like Donald Trump. See, I'm going to get cancelled, so retarded. And I said, I like Donald Trump. But honestly, people don't make their own opinions anymore, and that's what really pisses me off. Make your own opinions. Don't just listen to the news. You know, fuck Donald Trump and all that. Just don't listen to it. Make your own opinions. Don't listen to what the news says. And that's what annoys me. I think that's the one key thing I'd tell you to use in your life, and that's to have your own opinions. Of course, nothing is ever your own opinion. You're always influenced by something. Just make sure the thing you're influenced by is 100% true, because the news will manipulate you. That's the whole point of it, alright? That's why most of it's free. They don't do it for no reason. Best way to control a society, okay, we're going to like a conspiracy theory here, but we're not going to go down that route. But yeah, that's who he's based off. But I love that section. Biff is like so evil, and that's what happens when someone like Biff gets a lot of money and power, especially if it's not earned, which he hasn't, because he just put bets on races and all that, because it's on the almanac. He was able to tell who will win every time. And yeah, I love that section of the film. Just how dark and twisted the Hill Valley had become. Oh, and the bit with Strickland, where he sees Strickland, he pulls out a gun. He says the school's been closed for like the last 20 years or something. I can't remember exactly. Maybe 5 years, 7 years. And then the old students come past and say, "Hey, Strickland!" And I think they throw like a freaking Molotov or something. And he pulls out his shotgun and starts shooting them. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, and then he stumbles to Biff's tower. And then you got the scene with his mom, Lorraine. And she's exactly what you expect a trophy wife to be. I'm surprised she don't use coke in the movie, but you can kind of tell that she does. Unless she does in the film. I can't remember, but I know she drinks again in the film. But then he fixes it all at the end. But at the end, another cool bit. Back to the Future Part 2 is almost with Back to the Future Part 1, but it just isn't, because Back to the Future Part 1 is just superb, and you can't get that. But Back to the Future Part 2, I love the scene where Marty is mixing with his old self. So it's like, there's some scenes from Back to the Future Part 1, they've installed a new Marty into it, which is really cool, especially for back in the 1980s. And it creates some really funny and cool scenarios, like when Biff sees two Martys. And that's pretty funny. But then and then he almost gets ran over by Biff. Oh, there's a theory about that. In Back to the Future Part 2, for example, when Biff is on the top of his building with a gun and he points at Marty and says, "Two McFlys with the same gun," and Marty jumps off, and then he lands on the DeLorean. But the question is, how did Doc know that what the fuck? Well, I'm getting my words mixed up. How did Doc know that Marty was going to jump off at the exact point in time? And how did he know Biff was up there with him? He wouldn't have known where to be. So the theory is that every time Marty has died, he got shot or he jumped off. So every time he's died. So what Doc did, because he's got a time machine, he went back in time and went to the exact location. It can also be seen in the scene where he's in the tunnel and Biff is, mowing him down with his car. And Doc saves him and pulls him up to safety, and they fly away. But how did Doc know he was going to be there at that exact point in time? He wouldn't have. At least not that exact. So the theory is that Biff killed him there and ran him over, and Doc saw it and had to go back in time to save him. That's the theory. So there's multiple universes, I guess, where Marty actually died every single time. So yeah, I don't think it really applies to Back to the Future Part 1, because the DeLorean doesn't really move. But Back to the Future Part 2, it does quite a lot. And, he's got enough plutonium, I guess. No, does it run on plutonium? Of course, it must do, yeah. And like how I said, I'm not the biggest Back to the Future fan, but then I second guess myself every 2 seconds. Of course it does. I mean, of course it's got bits of fusion, but I think that's just for the power. It still needs plutonium to travel through time. So then we come on to at the end of Back to the Future Part 2, if you haven't seen it, skip this. But Doc is struck by lightning within the DeLorean. And he, Marty believes he dies. He's struck by lightning and is sent somewhere in the past. And Marty believes he's dead. Anyway, he gets a letter at that exact point in time. Such a blocked nose. The postman comes over and hands it to him. And it says Doc is in the Old West. This is where it cuts to the trailer for Back to the Future Part 3. Then we get into Back to the Future Part 3, which I would say is the most controversial Back to the Future. A lot of people love it, and some people hate it. It's a weird one. Because it definitely is the only Back to the Future that is extremely different. Of course, it's got the same core aspects, but it doesn't keep to the main line of the other two. And of course, this one's set in the Wild West, which is a cool change up. I really do like Back to the Future Part 3, especially me being a big fan of old westerns. As you will hear throughout this live stream, I'm a huge fan of them. So, such a blocked nose. Sorry about that. So yeah, Back to the Future Part 3 is another great film. I especially love the bit when Marty enters the bar and they shoot the gun at Floyd. There's like that dance. And they also take the mick out of his clothes. Like he's got the Nikes and... No, he's got the boot. I can't remember if he's got the boots on the Nikes. Anyway, they take the piss out of him because no cowboy dresses like that. Well, we believe cowboys dress like. They never really dress like, and that's what they take the piss out of him for. But I also like this scene, which is a copy of A Fistful of Dollars, where Marty, not a copy, because Marty in the film calls himself Clint Eastwood. It's the running joke of the film. So in the scene against Biff, Mad Dog Tannen, which is one of his ancestors, which is hinted at in Back to the Future Part 2, with their duel, he wears an oven cover. I don't know what you'd call it. An oven door, which, you know, stops the bullets. So they're supposed to have a duel, and he puts the gun down and says, "Why don't we fight like men?" And he says something like, "You fought wrong!" And he pulls out a gun and shoots him. And then he falls down, and Biff believes he's dead. Everyone's shocked. Biff comes over to Marty, and Marty smacks him around the face with the oven door. Make sure I'm not mixing this with Fistful of Dollars. But yeah, I'm just gonna say it's a copy. It's a copy of that, which is pretty cool if you like that. If you like Western films, I liked it. I like the ending, but I don't really like the fact Doc went with... What's her name? What is her name? Clement? No, it's not Clementine. What is her name? What is her name? It's, I can't remember her name. What is her name? Hey Google, what is the name of the lady in Back to the Future Part 3?
According to Wikipedia.org, Jennifer Jane Parker, portrayed by Claudia Wells in the first film and voiced by her in Back to the Future, The Game, Elizabeth Shue in the second and third film, voiced by Kathy Cavardini in the animated series, is dating Marty McFly. Do you want a little more context?
Yes.
Jennifer Jane Parker is dating Marty McFly. In 2015, as seen in Back to the Future Part 2, they are married.
Well, that answered my question. Why is that? You know what? Fuck this, I'm going to search it. Because it's going to annoy me. I trust me, I have watched these films a million times. But when you're on camera, you seem to forget unless you write it down. Doc's wife name. Because they get married. Oh, I can't just put Doc's. Clara? Oh, apparently it's Clara. I don't remember being Clara. But Clementine Clara makes sense, I guess. That's why I got him mixed up. So yeah, I didn't really like that. Also, there's a little secret. At the end of Back to the Future Part 3, during the train scene where, there's Lauren smashed up, there's a scene where Doc's giving his inspirational speech, and the boy beside him, one of his kids, is tapping his you-know-what. And that's made it into the final cut of the film. I would show you, but I think that goes against copyright. So if you want to search it, search Back to the Future Part 3 ending, and you will get the scene. The boy's like tapping down there. Roy, I don't know, he's like, he does this, and he taps down there. And that made it to the final cut of the film. So that's pretty funny to think about. But I just think like the ending with Doc going against, well, I guess he's done it all along, but he kind of went, I've just realised every film he's kind of gone against what he said. Like in the first film he said not to, why's that updated? He said that you can't, what did he say? God, I seem like such an idiot in this film, in this video. He says that knowing about his future could mess up reality and all that, which it did. He wasn't wrong, but he went against it. So in Back to the Future Part 3 goes against what he said. He can't bring someone from the past into the future, but he did that. So he does that in every film. I just didn't really like that bit. But it is an overall good film. But put them all together, it's the best franchise of all time. There's nothing that comes really close to it. Nothing. Every franchise has its bad film, besides Back to the Future. Some would say Back to the Future Part 3, but it's not a bad film. It's another great film. Not phenomenal, but it's great. You know what I mean? It's not bad. Put them all together, it's the best franchise ever. And I don't say that lightly. I love it. Now, you could argue, why haven't you got a poster? But I've got a poster of Back to the Future over there. I've also got a poster of my another favourite film, Ghostbusters. I absolutely love Ghostbusters. I don't know what I'd put it as. I don't know if I'd put it second or third or fourth, but I love Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is another phenomenal film. I have all the 80s toys as well. I love Ghostbusters. You can't beat it. Most of my favourite films are 80s as well. Some 50s and 60s, but most of them are 80s. What do I say about Ghostbusters? It's just another phenomenal film. It's funny, timeless, and it's also a great action film, which you don't get much nowadays. And you can definitely see that with the modern Ghostbusters in 2016. 2016, damn, that was quite a few years ago now. That one still sucks. And they misunderstood what Ghostbusters is. Another good film would be Ghostbusters 2. Of course, it's not as good as number 1. And number 1 is a lot more dirty and gritty, which I like. You know, some scenes when they've got cigarettes in their mouth, but you don't really see that in part 2. Because it's more child-friendly. I love the scene with Slime and his cigarettes just like hanging down from his mouth. Everyone loves these films. I'm trying to explain them, and this is the hard thing. If I have to explain something that no one knows about, I can do it very well. But if I have to explain something that everyone knows about, I second guess everything. Everyone loves Ghostbusters and Back to the Future. These are just basic films. Not that basic and bad, but everyone loves them for a reason. So I don't really have to explain Ghostbusters. My favourite scene of Ghostbusters would definitely have to be... Ooh, this is a hard one. So many scenes to choose from. Probably a library scene at the start. I love that scene. When they go around the library. Yeah, I love that scene. It's such a good scene, the build-up. And the music as well, going around the old library. They do feel very haunted. So, it's relatable. And that's what I like. So yeah, there's that one. What else? Trying to think now. So, let's move on to a new franchise I've absolutely fell in love with. I've always loved it, but I've really fell in love with it recently. The franchise is Bond. James Bond. Let's change the thing. How do I... There we go. Let's change the... I know I spelled his name wrong. Oh, that looks so shit. What is it? I hate Web and D files so much. Whoever created WebMD files needs to have a very nice day. Let's do that one. I like that. It's a WebMD file. There's nothing I hate more than damn WebMD files. I want a bit more action. I don't want a plain background. 1 second. Freaking hate WebMD files. There's nothing I hate more than stupid WebMD files. The original secrets of James Bond. It also helps that I'm British as well. That just makes it even better. I like Mission Impossible as well, but not as much. Okay, on to my newest found love. I've always loved it, but I've loved it even more recently. It is Bond. James Bond. Which I absolutely love. How do I start? These films are just phenomenal. It's a perfect franchise. Now, it's almost as good... No, it's not almost. It's half as good as Back to the Future series. Now, why do I say that? Back to the Future is just phenomenal. You can't beat Back to the Future. You just can't. Back to the Future is just a perfect franchise. And although James Bond is very good, it has its bad films. Now, although I haven't watched this one as crazy as Back to the Future, I've still watched quite a few. My favourite being Goldfinger. I'm very basic, but I love Goldfinger. I love Dr. No. I love With Russia from Love. I love all of them, and of course my favourite is the Sean Connery one. I've watched a few of the new ones whenever they come on TV. Like, I've watched most of the Daniel Craig ones in cinemas, and I've watched the one before him. Can't remember his name. The one he did in the 90s and the early 2000s. I like those as well, but my favourites have to be the Sean Connery. They just have to be. Everyone says that. Who's the best James Bond? It's Sean Connery. Because he is James Bond. The closest one would probably be the one in the 90s and the 2000s. Early 2000s. Because James Bond is just that fancy British guy who kicks ass and gets all the girls. That's what I think... Let's put this like that. There we go. That's what I think a lot of people misunderstand about James Bond. I love saying it like that. Is that he is... How do I put this? The example of the ideal masculinity. And when it sounds like we're going to go into a rant now. But he just is. He's the male fantasy. Who wouldn't want to be James Bond? If you went up to any guy and said, do you want to be James Bond? Of course they would say yes. You taking the mick. He gets all the ladies. He's devilishly handsome. And he also goes on these epic missions. Who wouldn't want to be James Bond? Of course they would. Even the way he talks is just phenomenal. His confidence is phenomenal. And that's just the character. He's charming. And he's very unique. You don't see any characters like James Bond, at least done well. Even the ones who take the mick, like Austin Powers and Johnny English, they take the mick out of the James Bond franchise. Which, yeah, you can. It's very gimmicky. And sometimes extremely silly. But when you take it seriously... I don't know, I've lost my train of thought now. You just can't copy James Bond. I love Mission Impossible, I love all that. There's Matrix, I guess you could say. But none of them come close to... Well, there's Steve Jobs. To James Bond. It's just phenomenal. Just the villains in James Bond are great. Especially Goldfinger. Goldfinger, I was singing at the start, the song. It's just... Let's pull the movie out. Goldfinger, which is another great film, especially the enemy, the villain. He's just so quirky. How would I put it? He has such a fascination with gold, as with the name. And it's like the start where he goes to the swimming pool, and he's just gambling, but he's cheating. He always cheats, and you know James Bond realizes, well, he's told, and he goes up to the girl. Who's reading the cards from above. If you never watched James Bond, I would definitely recommend doing it. And he's reading the cards off because she can see the cards because she's up above to Goldfinger. Anyway, James Bond takes the microphone off her and, messes with Goldfinger. And then he proceeds to how do I do this in a YouTube friendly way? Love his, not girlfriend, I think she says that he pays him. He pays her to be with him. Only in public, as she says. But yeah. He nicks her. Fuck, I'm getting my words mixed up so bad in this live stream. I need to record more. Sorry for not recording. He nicks his girlfriend, basically. I hope I said that right, because usually I get very mixed up. Because that's just James Bond. Anyway, just it teases Goldfinger, which is really funny. Especially the scene later on. Oh, the scene where he's about to die, James Bond, and the laser's about to cut him in half. Of course, that's been parodied quite a bit. But James Bond is like, do you expect me to talk? And then Goldfinger's like, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Okay, I seem really nerdy now. I don't know how to feel about this. I need to go and have a shower after this and wash away the nerdiness. But it's just really cool, and I love James Bond. I think every guy, in some way, tries to be James Bond. I love his sense of style, that's why I wear suits for. Not just because of James Bond, I wore them quite a bit before. But James Bond is just the example male. And of course, I want to get all the angry hippies after me about misogyny and all this, but, you know, fuck off, really. It's just a film, okay? It's just crazy how people get offended over a film so much. So yeah, it's just a great series. Don't know why we've gone so quiet. Let's move on to another section with... How do I get off this? Goodbye, James Bond. We're going to next talk about something different. Something very different. One of my favourite certain type of films. I just saw my history. What do I call it? Psycho. Oh my, how do I start? This is one of my favourite horror films. No, my favourite horror film, slasher film, I guess you could call it, of all time. Let's see if I can get that one. If you, let me just pull it down. If you never watched this film, you need to watch it. This is the best horror film or slasher film of all time. It's just the gold standard of what a horror or slasher film should be. It's so just look at the picture. How is that not creepy and disturbing? I can't talk about this one without wrecking it. All I can say is that nothing is as it seems. And I don't want to make a massive spoiler about the ending, because that puts it all together in a nice little package. But all I am going to say is that... let's pull this down. All I'm going to say is that Alfred Hitchcock has done an exceptional job at making one of the best slasher or horror films of all time. And the fact it's in black and white just makes it more creepy. Because don't forget, this was released in a time when he could have done it in colour. But I think the black and white just adds to the creepiness. And I don't see any films nowadays done in black and white on purpose. You just never see it. Which I don't understand, because black and white really is effective. The only film I know recently, I said recently twice, has recently used black and white, has to be Oppenheimer, which is a phenomenal film. Not as good as old films, but you know, it's good. And they use black and white, which is pretty cool. But especially in the horror in the horror genre, black and white is just great, and it adds a sort of old, creepy feeling. If you ever watched Nosferatu, which I very much doubt, it's an old, silent horror film, very early. It's got an interesting story behind it, but that's in black and white. Of course, it was in black and white because back then it didn't even have sound. It had a theatrical score over it. But it didn't have any sound, there's no talking, it's all images and text. But that film's extremely creepy. I struggle to watch that with how creepy it is. Nosferatu is an interesting film. It was originally created in 1920 or 30. I can't remember the exact date. Maybe even earlier than that. Maybe like 1910. Anyway, it's a very, very old film. So when it was released, Nosferatu is based on the Dracula Dracula book, which is copyrighted. So when Nosferatu was made, of course it was loosely based on Dracula, it went against copyright. And it was issued to be completely destroyed by courts. Any footage of it to be destroyed. And of course this was in Germany. Nosferatu isn't a British film. Most films back then were British or American. But no, this was a German film. I think that makes it even more creepier. And everything was supposed to be destroyed. But only a few records of it survived. A few copies of it survived. Which is the only reason we have it nowadays. If those copies were destroyed, then we would have lost Nosferatu forever. And it's a good film. Definitely not something I'd recommend a younger person to watch. Not because it's messed up, just because it's a bit slower due to the year it came out. And the fact it's got no dialogue besides text. But it really is creepy. I will just show you Nosferatu. Nosferatu. Look how creepy that is. No, not that. There we go. Nosferatu is also featured in SpongeBob, 1922. I told you it was. It was also featured in SpongeBob, where it says that scene where he flicks the lights off. That is Nosferatu. Very creepy, especially since I put SpongeBob. Look at it. It's also a book as well. It's based off Dracula. Oh, damn, that is so creepy. You get so many horror films nowadays, and they just look terrible. Like you got this film, Nun 2. What a terrible film this looks like. Like, yeah, I guess it's kind of creepy. A nun that goes crazy. I haven't seen that before. And then you see that. That's pretty creepy. Of course, that's a newer version. I don't think that's the original. And it's over 100 years old. Such a creepy film. And at the start, this horseman comes past. And the guy on it is actually Nosferatu, but you don't realise that till you see Nosferatu. What the fuck has Harry Styles got to do with Nosferatu? Okay. Harry Styles left this great role of Nosferatu. I couldn't care less. What would I care? From Nosferatu to Get Out, 100 Years of Horror. It is literally the original horror film. Apparently, Nosferatu is the first Dracula film ever. Which is pretty interesting. I've got it on DVD as well. No, I haven't got it on DVD. I've got it mixed with another film. I've got another horror film on DVD that's old, Frankenstein. But no, I haven't got Nosferatu on DVD. I've watched it. It's free to watch. If you want to watch Nosferatu, if you want to watch this, you can watch it free online. Just search Nosferatu, scroll down, because it's it looks even on YouTube. Because it's past copyright, it's free to use. So yeah, if you want to watch a really, really creepy film, you can watch that. See? And then you can see my weird searches. Like, does testosterone cause hair loss? Goodbye, Mr. Bond. What the fuck? I haven't searched that. It must be my brother. Why the fuck is he searching that? Anyway, let's think about another great film. What is another great film? Jeez, I've always been doing this for an hour. Let's do one more great film. Otherwise I'm just going to talk my head off. What shall I talk about? I've done all old films. Shall I talk about another modern great film? What is a great film I've seen recently? I know a lot of bad ones I've seen. What's a great one? What have I seen? Hold on, let me go to my wallet. It'll tell me what I've seen recently. No, let's go recent. I'll tell you what. A good modern film I've seen, it's going to be very similar to James Bond, is Mission Impossible. That was a great film. I really enjoyed that. It's like I said, a great film. I don't know what else to say. It's very awkward. But yeah, it's a great film. Tom Hanks. What was it? Tom Cruise does an excellent job, as always. He's sort of that crazy badass, and that's what it is. He does all those crazy stunts. Of course, there's a joke that he's short in there, but I don't think he really cares. He's heard the joke about being short so much you wouldn't believe it, but I don't think it really matters because he's a badass. You know what I mean? And he's one of the only people nowadays, besides kind of James Bond, who keeps that masculine hardness, which you don't really see in movies nowadays, sadly. Of course, not as much as the original old ones, but it's still there, in essence. It hasn't been completely screwed over, like I think James Bond will be. So yeah, that was a really good... What was that voice crack? It was a really good film, I really enjoyed it, especially that scene. Oh, it's so funny, when they're trying to find Tom Cruise. And it's such a good film. I gotta buy that on DVD. I will watch that again. That is a good film. If you watch a film again, it's good. They're trying to find Tom Cruise, and this guy who's working with Tom Cruise has hacked into the system, because I think who's trying to find James Bond? Tom Cruise. Who's trying to find him? Someone's trying to find him anyway, and they keep on hacking through the system. So they keep on hacking the faces. Of course, that's pretty cool because of deep fakes nowadays. So it's like a little hint towards that, but they're faking it. So we look on the camera and just go through the glasses, saying, "Okay, that's James." Fuck, I've got James Bond on my mind. That's Tom Cruise there, going to attack him. So they grab this guy, and it's like some Arab guy, and he's like, they grab him and they pull him, and it's like it's not Tom Cruise. They're like, what the hell? And the guy's going nuts them for, like, grabbing him. It's pretty funny. And then they do it again and again and again. And, they come to the conclusion that their system's completely fucked. Because the guys mess with... the team that Tom Cruise is with is just so cool. I've got to be completely honest, it is pretty cool. You got those two, you got Simon Pegg and the other guy... I can't remember the other guy's name. I really like him. He kind of... How do I put this? He kind of looks like Bill Cosby. So, yeah, take that as you will. But I like those two, Simon Pegg and... I don't want to call him Bill Cosby, because Bill Cosby is a convicted thing, but he looks a bit like Bill Cosby, in my opinion. Right, well, I've got a whole computer. What am I just trying to describe what he looks like? I know I just written it the wrong way around. Alright, let's do it like that, then. 7 of them! I don't remember there being 7. Him there. I think you can see that. He's pretty cool, and so is Simon Pegg. Especially that scene when they have to go and defuse the bomb in the airport. Who else is pretty cool? Of course, Tom Cruise himself. Who's that girl he's with? Her. What was she doing again? What was her thing? She kept on trying to do something. What was it? I think she was trying to rob him. Yeah, I didn't really like her too much. I liked her by the end. Was it her? I swear it wasn't her. Yeah, I liked her by the end. But yeah. Was it her? I don't remember being her. Maybe it was. No, because she wears a mask in that part. Sorry, oh shit, this is a brand new film, I'm just kind of spoiling it. But yeah, well, that would conclude the greatest films of all time. Of course, some of them aren't the greatest films of all time, they're just films I'm interested in. Like Mission Impossible, I wouldn't class that as the greatest film of all time. Doesn't mean it's bad. Being the greatest film of all time is very hard. Like being like Back to the Future, Ghostbusters and Goldfinger isn't easy. And you'll never beat it. Of course, I hope they do. What would I sit here and say? I hope they don't beat these films. Of course I do. But I think the direction the movie's going in, it doesn't look very good. And when a new film comes out and it's actually good, I like to praise it, like Mission Impossible. That was a good film. Not as good as it could have been, but it was pretty good. But then you get films like... I watched Gran Turismo and it sucked. I knew it would suck because it's cringy. The guy's like, I've raced this track 1,000 times. I'm like, no you fucking haven't. He says that. It's like, no, you raced in a game. I can't go and play Call of Duty, then join the military and try and be better than the damn sergeant. It doesn't happen. So, yeah, I find that film really cringy and pathetic. Especially like every time nowadays, all the time nowadays, they don't make new films, they just do remakes and change every single character. Like the new Seven Dwarfs, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, they're not even dwarfs in the film. Okay? I know that was a massive criticism about the film, and some other stuff as well. But I'm not going to dive into that, but they're not even dwarfs, they do this all the time. Just leave old films alone. If you want to make a new film, just do it. You know what I mean? Just leave old films alone. And what else? Yeah, a lot of films are just terrible nowadays. I watched Strays, and it wasn't that good. It was just very immature. Which I'm not saying I'm all preachy or anything, but it's just stupid. Which can be good. So, yeah. Well, this is going to be me signing off. Somewhere. Somehow. I don't know. I generally don't even know what I'm doing. Anyway, I'm going to go now. And, I don't actually know. Well, this is me signing out. A new video will be out soon. I do apologise for not posting as much as I used to. I need to get back into the rhythm of it. So, start posting more and more. And start doing more videos about what I enjoy. I think that would really help. I might start doing some videos like this, as like this live stream where I talk about movies. Because I would like to do a proper video about like a James Bond film. Or I want to do a video about the Simpsons arcade game, which is phenomenal. I've said phenomenal, which is a good game. I love the Simpsons arcade game, so I want to do a video about that. But I want to mix up a bit. Do gaming and then movies, but keep around that aspect. Not changing my content completely like I have before, like GTA to video essays. I'm not doing that. I'm keeping to the video essay. But it'd be nice to mix up a little bit, I think. Definitely. Anyway, this is me signing out. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Don't know how you could enjoy this live stream, because it's been poorly worded. Because I kept on mixing up my words just like then. But yeah, if you haven't got it's not I can't talk without a script. If I'm trying to give specifics, like my opinion about something, it's very hard to do so without a script. Because I'll just say, it's good. It's just good. Or, it's shit. Or it's a mediocre. That's all I say. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. There's a goodbye burp.